Hey Dave, it's me, American Eli, just hanging out in my American home. How are you doing, dude?
Patriot Eli.
Patriot Eli. I'm drinking Blue Rifle coffee and saying my pledge of allegiance to Ronald Reagan. How you been,
Uh
man?
Good man. Yeah, I was Europe Europe Dave for a while.
You were
2
Europe,
weeks.
your European vacation all the way.
Yeah, it kind of was, man. I did my Scandinavian tour through a bunch of countries and ended up and started in Finland and ended up in Norway.
Dang.
Um Yeah, like, it was beautiful, man. Like, there were a lot of, just amazing there's this area in Norway especially that was just, like, amazing. There's, like, mountains all around you and these beautiful waterfalls. But, like, I don't know, the problem with it is, like, like, the tourism was just out of control there.
Hmm.
Like, there was just this tiny little port, and they'd have these just massive cruise liners come in and just let thousands of people off in this, like, tiny little village of, like, 200 people.
So,
Cool. Yeah, dude, so it's just weird it's just a weird dichotomy where I was like, I wanted to, like, enjoy everything, but I was just stressed out because it was basically just, like, a ton of just boomer energy just all around me,
oh man,
like, coming off the cruise ship, like, people so just, a lot of, like, zooming in on phones to take pictures
did you have
or,
anybody taking a photo with an iPad? That's my favorite thing is when people pull out their iPad to take a picture on it.
that's a good one. There were some selfie sticks,
Ugh.
or like not turning off, not muting the camera taking sound effect
Oh,
on your phone. There was a lot of that.
a lot of flashes in the
Uh,
dark.
yeah, a lot of Candy Crush reverberating off the mountainside. So
Just like
yeah, it
imagine
was.
imagine what people were doing there 1,000 years ago or whatever, and compared to what they chose to do when they were there now, which was Candy Crush,
That's
a
just
fad game.
yeah. It just bummed me. I don't know. I just felt like, I went there expecting for some good
Sure.
Viking action, and I feel like they sold out. Like I was hoping for I don't know, I just feel like they didn't they're not in touch with their roots anymore. I'm like,
Hmm.
look what you guys were doing 1,000 years ago. But now you go there and it's like everybody's just kind of getting along and they all care for each other and there's lots of parks and great public transportation.
Oh
And I'm like,
god.
dude, what went wrong here? What are you
Dude,
guys doing?
they got soft, man. They got a little bit of success, they got a little bit of money, they got a little bit of agriculture, they became a major trading partner, and then they were
Yeah.
like, we're gonna enact laws, and that's what we're gonna do."
I wanted them to just, treat me like shit or something.
Hmm.
At least like,
Yeah.
as like a tourist, but it's
That's
like they were
called
they were too kind, dude.
You know what treating you like shit would have been? It's called Viking hospitality, and it's what you pay for when you go to freaking Finland, dude. Or no,
Yeah,
we're
and
is that
it's
where we're talking about Finland, right? That's where you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, mostly like the biggest Scandinavian area is like Sweden and like Norway are kind of the biggest, and Denmark.
Norway.
That's kind of like where most of the history is.
Did you see any
Um,
trolls?
dude, actually, there were a lot of troll stuff everywhere. Like every shop was selling like troll, like wood carved, like
Hmm.
wood carved stuff, and there was like massive trolls that were just hanging out at like kids' playground areas. So that was pretty awesome.
Well, you know where I can relate with that is that, I've never been to Norway, but Epcot Center has a Norway pavilion, and there are just trolls everywhere, or there used to be, now it's like Frozen Land, but
Nice.
back in the day, they used to have a Viking ride, and so that's literally my whole experience with Norway.
Well, what I did learn is if you're wondering where exactly it went wrong, I pinpointed where. And if you go back to the last Viking king, his name was Harold Hardrada. He was the one that sold out the Vikings. So basically, like 1,000 AD, the Vikings are still going out plundering, just taking things. And there's this king, I forgot what king it was, but he got together with this priest of the area and they were like, look, the Vikings are a problem. We need to do something about this. So they wrote a letter to the Viking king
Oof.
being like, hey, you need to stop. People are sick of getting plundered, and come talk to us if you want to. And then they actually went and showed up, and they're like, guys, there's a horde of Vikings out there that are asking for you. I don't know. So they actually met, and then like the priest was like, all right, I know you have your like cool Norse gods, but like we have this other god of Christianity, and there's only one, and he's like way more powerful than all your other gods put together. The Viking King was like, whoa, that sounds OP, first of all. But yeah, okay, whatever. I'll believe in your god if you take this smoldering piece of iron and hold it in your hand for like 2 minutes or whatever it was. And so like the priest actually did it. He like took his thing, and like legend has it that he actually was able to hold the thing for 2 minutes without like screaming or crying or doing anything. And then the Viking King was just straight up like, okay, I guess he did it, and I guess we're not Vikings anymore. And straight up, he's like, all right, guys, like, I guess put down your axes, like, we're done. Let's go to church.
Dude.
So that was it, dude. And then he carved in this huge stone, like, their names and like the fact that happened. And that's like one of the only like big relics they have, like, of the Vikings. Like,
Whoa.
it's pretty crazy.
So basically, like, can you imagine how good? I mean, sure, that sucked for that priest, right? And his hand is done. There's no way you're holding that and your hand isn't just completely melded to that iron and you're screwed, right? But how good did that priest feel that night at the pub, dude? Where
Seriously.
he's just like, hey, Bill, and he's like waving with the hand, like with the iron still like soldered into his hand and like
I mean, he might have changed the course of history. I mean, like 800 years of like Vikings just ended that day because he was a badass.
So that tells me that monotheism is 100% correct, because where would that guy have gotten where would he got the supernatural power, dude?
According to Harold Hardrada, dude, he was like, all right, I'm in. I like your god.
Can we
He's
talk
colder
about
than Odin?
Can we talk about too what a bitch move it was to write them a letter? It's like, hey, you guys need to stop right now. And if you want to talk about it, we can, but you need to stop. And then, like, in a comedic sense, I just imagine that as cinematic. Like, he writes the letter, sends it off, and then he steps out onto his front porch and just like he's just met with this horde of freaking Viking ships, dude.
He's like, well, we're here. I guess prove yourself. They're like,
See,
I didn't think that they would actually show up. I thought they would tell us to go to hell.
where was that story at the Epcot Center? I saw a lot of trolls, dude, but I never saw what was his name? Horatio? What was that guy's name? Horatio Hornbach?
Yeah. That's pretty close.
Damn.
What was his name? Yeah, let's see. Let's see if I get it right.
Helmut the
Yeah,
Shamer?
Harold Hardrada. But there's some other guys.
Harold.
There's like Bluetooth is like one of the most famous Vikings.
He's all hold on, guys. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. Dude, is that what a herald thing to do, dude? To be like, stop, guys. Okay, it's getting serious. We need to stop.
No, Harold was actually the Viking. I don't know the name of the priest.
Oh.
I forget the name of the priest.
But Harold was the one that was like, they need to stop, right? And he got with the priest, or was he like going to the priest being like, you better shut up? Where did
I'm
Harold
not sure.
stand?
I mean, no one even knows that this actually happened.
Oh, it happened.
Just like I don't know. The priest might have been just crying the whole time, and everyone just tells it differently. I don't really know.
Or he did it for 10 seconds, and he was like, oh, oh. And everybody's like,
really
you see him? He did it for 2 minutes.
That was pretty good.
It was like a Judd Apatow movie.
The Viking guy's like, he's not going to be able to do it. He's
There's
gonna cry like a bitch. Watch, this is going to be funny.
That's great. That makes me want to move to
so anyway, that's where they sold out. And then after all that was the path to socialism. So, and that's where you ended up. So,
I thought you were going to say, like, I traced it. They got a Chick-fil-A branch. And ever since then, they were just like, no.
They do have a lot of McDonald's, and actually Burger King's over there. I was pretty big over there. I was surprised about that.
They do have Chick-fil-A, but it is built on an ancient rune symbol. So it's kind of still part of the culture.
I freaking wish it was. That's what I was expecting.
Dude.
But what are you going to do, man?
I'm going to stay in America. That's what I'm going to do.
Anyway, what?
I'm not going to ask my priest to hold any hot irons. I'm just going to assume he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, every priest should have to do that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care what the Pope says at
Yeah.
all, but if the Pope stood up and held a smoldering iron for 2 minutes without even a reaction, I'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna listen to you now."
With absolutely no context. Like if he didn't tell the world anything, he just comes out on his Pope platform, dude, and he's just riding through the square going, ah! Everybody be like, oh my gosh, we
Yeah,
should
see,
follow
that's
him.
what we need, dude.
Yeah.
We need a king that's gonna lead by example of being a badass.
I
I'll
mean, that's
follow you if you do
any
that.
anything Harold the Horatio would have done, dude, is what we I mean, society would be so much better if we just had priests holding hot things across the board.
Yeah, I don't care what you call yourself. I'm gonna respect you.
Yeah.
But now we don't have that.
So were
We
you
live in
able
a society.
with rules and taxes and roads? Take the roads back. How about that? Just take the roads back. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out a new road system.
It's
We
those
don't need them.
roads, man.
Did you see were you able to see Across the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, man. And I know that's why we're here. Let's talk some Spider-Man, dude.
Dude, how much LSD are these creators and these animators taking, man? I like visually, let's just start at lowest hanging fruit. Number one, like I really got burnt. I don't know about you. I got so burnt out on the marketing for this movie. I felt like I couldn't turn anywhere without everybody telling me this was the greatest movie ever. Like what felt like 2 months before the movie ever came out, which isn't a reason to like dissuade me from seeing it, but especially during the NBA like playoffs, they're just every commercial is Across the Spider-Verse. But with that being said, visually, man, the animation of this movie is incredible. I saw a review that said you could pause this movie at any point and hang that frame on your wall as art, and it made a lot of sense, dude. I thought the artwork was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I really liked there were parts that were like incredibly like fast paced, but I thought they did such a cool job of like making it feel like a comic book. And I mean the first one like did that too, but like I don't know, this one stood out to me more of being like even like having the like sound effects like on the thing or having like multiple frames like up on the screen
Yeah,
was like pretty awesome and like done in a cool way and like also wasn't overdone.
yeah,
Like they did it in moments that like actually enhance the story instead of being like this looks like a comic like they could have done. Like I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool and like pretty unique.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely leans into its comic roots, which is really really cool. I felt like this movie, it capitalized off where the last one. I really enjoyed Into the Spider Verse. Um, just like in the big picture, I don't know that I like this movie as much as I've heard everybody talking about like this is so much better than the first one. I really enjoyed the first one. I really enjoyed this one. But I did feel that there were parts that were a little bit disjointed. Um, not enough to make me not like the movie, but it because it is such a fast-paced movie, it really like you had to keep up, which is not like a knock on a movie traditionally, but it just was so fast paced that I don't feel like they flushed a lot of stuff out. I felt like what was the villain's name? And it was
Spot,
not
the
Spot.
spot.
No, I
Oh, Spider-Man 2099.
yeah, Miguel O'Hara. I thought he was
Yeah.
cool, but I felt like his character, like I didn't necessarily know. I mean, I knew what he wanted in terms of, Miles was the one variant that had like a variant spider that got into his universe and bit him, and it wasn't supposed to bite him. But other than that, I don't know. It was just like a lot of he pulled like the whole Spider Verse to go after Miles, and I didn't totally follow or feel like it was flushed out super well.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like super on board with it until like I don't know, maybe like 70% of the way in and then like just it's like they were trying to do so many things
Yeah,
and it was like I agree. It was kind of like not fully fleshed out and then they didn't even like I was like I couldn't believe when it was a to be continued
yeah,
because I'm like you didn't really wrap anything up at all
right.
whatsoever. And then, like, I was kind of shocked at that. And then it was like, because it was getting towards the end where I'm like, this is like 2 hours long. How are they possibly going to Like, I'm like, there's like 4 different things that they haven't wrapped up. Like, what are they gonna do? And then it just ended, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Like, I guess I mean, Miles gets his arc of like being cool and being like standing up for the others and being like the only one to be like, no, this isn't cool. I'm not going to care about whatever. I'm going to like save a person because I want to save a person. But like, other than that, it's like he winds up, it like ends in this completely different area of him going to the wrong
Yeah.
dimension. And then it's like, whoa, not only did they not wrap anything up, they also just threw even another thing in there. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next comment was I feel like they lean so much into that this is the second movie in a trilogy, which, like now everything to me is like I kind of hold it against the Guardians of the Galaxy standard. I mean, I I understand that you want to do the Back to the Future and you want it to be continued it and you want basically one large movie, but that kind of cheapens it in my opinion because
Yeah,
I don't want
completely.
one movie and then one really long second movie. I want them to be distinct in their own feel, and I felt like this one was distinct enough um, from the first one. But yeah, it definitely suffers in the third act. It almost felt like they made that decision late, like they were taking it on us on this different course. The Spider Verse element of it to me got a little taxing at times too. Not I enjoyed it but it was just like it was so beat over your head that they were in the Spider-Verse, and, like, I know that that's the name of the movie. I know that that's the name of the first movie, but I don't know, some of the stuff fell flat, like the Ben Riley stuff fell flat for me, and just some other stuff that, in
Yeah.
terms of the humor used around the Spider-Verse didn't necessarily always work.
I've always loved like the parallel like reality stuff and all of that, but like I feel like I'm so burned out on it now because it's everywhere.
Yeah,
The past like 5 or 6 years, it's just been in everything that like there's no novelty of that anymore, like for me at least.
yeah, for sure.
So like yeah,
Well, and it's about to happen again with The Flash,
yeah,
where
exactly. It's
you're
like,
gonna
okay, here we go again. Like
you
it's
know
just
what?
not fresh anymore.
You know what it is too, dude? I think the reason it gets taxing is because it's at the end of the day, it's all stunt casting. So it's all a big joke, right? It's like you're gonna have like the cat Spider-Man and like I get it that that's not outside the realm of the humor of these movies, but I just like number one, I think this movie was way too freaking long. I thought 2.5 hours
It
for this
felt
movie
long, dude.
with how fast and the visuals and everything and the amount of story you're trying to
I
go
didn't realize it
through.
was 2.5 hours. I was thinking it was gonna be like an hour and 45 minutes, and I'm like, "Whoa, we're still going?"
Slight rant time. Dude, why are we doing 30-minute previews, man? I'm so freaking tired of I
Yeah.
literally tack on half an hour to whenever my showtime starts. And that's a bitch, dude. You shouldn't have to spend 3 hours at a movie theater for a movie that's an hour and a half. It's absurd and like I'm so tired of
Yeah.
it. If you're paying a premium, if you're paying $25 to go to a Dolby theater to go see a movie for an experience, that should opt you out of having to watch trailers. We all watch trailers at home. It's all on our phone. We watch them while we're going to the bathroom. That's where we consume our trailers. Like, so this 30 minutes of forced trailers that we've already seen 10 to 20 times before we've even stepped into the movies is like, it's too much. I can pay $10 a month for Hulu with no ads. So why am I paying $25 per movie?
Yeah, it is crazy that they think that they can still get away with doing that as if, like, we're still in the 90s. 'Cause I'm with you, man. I don't know, like,
It's just too much.
it's
Anyway,
like
that
we're
was
worried
just,
about it's like we're worried that anyone's ever gonna go to the theater again. But
yeah.
also, if you do, we're gonna spam you with 30 minutes of ads.
Well, it's like look at what's going on in baseball. Baseball did the time rule, so you can't just stand on the mound for however long or call timeouts a million times.
Yeah.
And like it's the viewership is skyrocketed. It's back to like 1980s level. It's because people they don't want to spend as much time. I mean, it is 3 hours in a movie
Baseball
theater.
yeah, baseball was, like, absurdly long,
Yeah,
so
and
it
and
makes
that's what
sense.
it gets known as, but I just like I'm so tired of that. Anyway, that's a side rant. But yeah, it just it was too long for me. The movie could have shaved, not much, maybe 10 to 15 minutes off. But one thing I really do like about these movies is the through line of Miles and his dad. I really like the family dynamic of that and how that affects him. I really like what they're doing with Gwen Stacy and him and the way that they're kind of treating that relationship. Um,
It's the
but
kinda
yeah,
thing where you know you're getting old when you solely relate to like the parents of the movies, and that's like
Yeah,
100% how I felt. With like, I'm like, dude, he has awesome parents that are just like trying their best, dude. Like,
yeah. Well,
and
and
like,
great.
I agree. Yeah, it was a great dynamic that they had.
Great, but great, great casting too. Brian Tyree Henry, he's a great actor. So him playing Jefferson, I guess it's Morales now. I don't know why they changed the name from Jeff. I'll tell you why they changed the name. They changed the name because they didn't want the audience to find out that the lead character in their movie that played Miles's dad is named Jefferson Davis. Guarantee you that has something to do with it. But they changed his name to where he took his wife's name. Whatever. I don't really care about that, but just a weird change. Something kind of so subtle I don't think anybody would have noticed either way. But
Huh?
y- yeah, so I think there's a lot this movie did right. I don't think I like it as much. That "What's Up Danger" segment of Inside or Into the Spider Verse is. I honestly, full disclosure, I was so burnt out on the previews for this movie, and it was funny because I texted Dave. I said, "Are you going to go see Across the Spider Verse?" And his response was like, "Uh, I guess." So I was like, kind of in the same place where I didn't really want to take 3 hours of my day to go see it, but then I rewatched the first one. So I decided to spend 3 hours of my day watching the first one. But that "What's Up Danger" segment, I was like, "Oh, I want to go see the new one." I just love that sequence so much.
Was the first one as long? I don't remember.
No, I don't think so. I think the first one was
Yeah,
2
I didn't think
hours.
so. Yeah, yeah. It seemed the last one like seemed like a good,
Yeah, pacing wise, it
yeah,
was
like
it
a
was
good
great.
amount.
And the story, I don't like, dude, here's the other thing. I don't know what it is. I don't really love, and I didn't really even love the Peter B. Parker element of the first movie. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah,
that character just falls flat. I don't know that you even needed him in this one. He was kind of shoehorned in too. That was another plot point.
the Peter Parker
Yeah, with the kid and
character.
all that stuff. Like
Yeah,
that was cool to show like where he's at now as a dad and all that stuff. And there's some closure there, but
but it was like a little bit like
it was a little corny.
it was a little corny, and they hit you over the head with it like quite a bit, which I didn't think was like necessary. I mean, it was fine.
Yeah,
I also like I'm not a huge fan of like his voice acting. Like I forget the dude's
same.
name.
Jake
Um,
Jake Jake
Yeah,
Johnson
yeah,
or
he's
something.
from New Girl, and I
Yeah,
like that dude as an actor and a comedian, but, like, I don't like him as that voice, like,
dude,
I
I
don't feel
agree.
like it works.
I agree, man. And that's such a like a big part of that, and I just yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the performance that doesn't connect with me. But if you're gonna use that character, why wouldn't you have saved him for the third one and like had to pull him out of fatherhood? See, that would have been like to me, I was like, oh, that's gonna be dope because in the third one, the whole thing is gonna be about Miles saving his dad. Well, what a better like poetic justice if it comes full circle. He's gotta pull Peter B. Parker, who is now a father as a
Yeah, that
result of
makes sense.
meeting Miles, and there's just some
They might still do that,
yeah, yeah, maybe. Although
but,
they tried to play it like he was like a double agent almost for Miguel O'Hara, but um
I kinda just saw it as, like to me, he's not Peter Parker at all whatsoever. He's just,
yeah,
like, a dude that's, like, kinda wishy-washy about everything, is kinda like, "Oh, yeah."
yeah,
He's kinda just, like, a good guy, kind of, and I'm just like, "I don't why how's that Peter?"
yeah, yeah, for sure. Definitely that. I thought, what'd you think of the spot?
Yeah, okay, so I really liked how they brought the spot in. I thought it was really funny. It's almost like there was that meme going around that was like how all the supervillains that had the exact same origin of being uh like a nerd, and then
Yeah,
someone is like pushes me and spills my paper, and I become a supervillain. So it almost seemed like it was kind of commentary on that, where like they kind of did it again with this, but like I thought they did it in an interesting way with like the ATM machine and stuff, and like I don't know, it was cool because they took a pretty like stupid character, and like got all the comedy that they needed from it, but then also made it like make a ton of sense like within the
yeah.
Spider Verse, which I thought was cool.
And make it like genuinely creepy in moments. I thought that was what was cool.
Yeah,
It,
like
it it was such an acid trip of a movie, dude. Like when he
yeah.
goes inside of himself, I just thought that was a really rad sequence. That might have been one of my top ones where he's just like, oh, so he's thinking out loud. He's like, oh, so I have to go inside of myself to get inside of myself, and like that element and him discovering his powers and like the power that you would have if you were able to just reach into these different portals and
I think that like basically so what it comes down to with me is like I'm really disappointed in it because so many things to me were so good. that like, and there's a couple things about it that like were like totally missed in my opinion, and
Yeah.
I'm just super bummed out that I'm like, I was so close to being like really good. Because the other thing I was gonna say, like the other thing that I did not at all like about it is that I see as does not make any sense is the whole concept of like uh Miguel's whole thing of like every Spider-Man must have this exact tragedy to happen in a core thing, and the core memory like must blah 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 happen, and or
Yeah.
they will not be Spider-Man. Like to me that makes no sense. It's like how so like the universe or God just arbitrarily decided that every single one has to have this tragedy, so we have to make that happen. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I was hoping that it was going to be like that is what like what Miguel was like assuming was the case, and so he was using his like emotion and his guilt to like sort of like convince the rest of the Spider-Verse that like that needed to happen. Because it could even be a thing where like he went through so much pain that he feels like every Spider-Man should have to go with pain. But
Yeah.
then they didn't do that. They just like doubled down on it and like acted like it was a real thing. And just like to me, that makes no sense. And even at the end, when like Gwen is like worried about her dad because he's Captain Stacy, and every Captain Stacy must die. Like, and then he's like, "Oh well, I'm retiring off the force," and she's like, "Oh great, you're fine then,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
leaves. I'm like, "What?"
It's
That makes
superficial.
the universe is like, "Ah, therefore he retired. Therefore he will not die." It's like, what the fuck? This is
It's
a
a
Spider-Man movie.
it's a superficial universe, dude. And like, dude, I loved that scene. Some of those scenes with Gwen and her dad, and just like the watercolor element that they used of that stuff. I thought that was good. But I will agree that I felt like the Miguel O'Hara element pretty much throughout was. And I don't know, is he a vampire? I don't. They never explained like why he had vampiric. And maybe some of
Yeah,
this
they
they're
didn't really
holding over
explain that.
into number 3, but that's what I don't like about that
But you
shit.
can't do that, dude.
That's what
This
I
is
don't
its
like
own.
about it.
You have to judge this movie based on this movie.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a bummer because it's like people of all ages were so excited for this. Like, especially like I know so many like younger kids that were look have been looking forward to this for like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And then it's like they got a story that was incomplete. And I'm like, I just feel like it's disrespectful to be like, dude, now we gotta wait how much longer to see what happened. Like
It's
you can
actually
even
only
wrap up the spot
it's
thing or anything. It's like, okay.
it's actually the next one comes out in March, so it's not a
Oh,
super long
okay.
time. But again, I agree with you. Like I want my movies, especially in a trilogy, and that's one of the things, like, we talked about with Guardians, the criteria of what makes a great trilogy. And I think like the cohesiveness of different stories. Like I think that you could look at volume 3 and it's completely independent of volume 1 and 2, but you couldn't have got there without those movies. And I think that those make for
Yeah.
the best trilogies. If you look at the original Star Wars, it's that way. I feel like so much like when people make trilogies now, they have to make number 2 Empire Strikes Back. And you have to end it on a cliffhanger, and which is something Guardians didn't do, but you have to, leave some open elements. And that's fine, like to leave some things, some of the threads untangled, but
Well,
that doesn't even
and
make sense. But
let's compare it to like other films that kind of did that too. Like like you could look at Dead Man's Chest kind of did that, but like I think the best example is like Infinity War.
yeah,
Even though it was technically not the second one, like it ends on a cliffhanger of going into the third one. But the reason, in my opinion, that works is because like they complete like it's a complete arc. Like every character has completed its arc of that movie. And especially if you look at it in terms of like Thanos it being flipped and Thanos being sort of the protagonist, like it ends on a perfect like arc, even though it's like plot wise being like, like leaving things open ended. But this just left so many things like hanging that it's like they just I don't know. I don't think they had to do it that way.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that, man. I still really enjoyed it. And another thing is like it's kind of a movie for me that I have to go back and watch again just because there's so much going on. Um just to let some of that stuff diffuse. But I mean, stuff
But
to like
yeah,
about it. I don't think I don't agree with people that think it's as good as the first one.
yeah, there's people that are like think it's like a perfect film, and like, yeah, I don't agree with that. But yeah, I mean, there's so like I said, like that's why I'm disappointed because there's so much. It
Right.
wasn't just like it sucked, like it was great in like so many ways, and like I really liked a lot. Like just like the first one, they nailed the characters. Like what you said, like all the like Gwen and her dad, like so many great characters, like some really good jokes in there that was like
Really good jokes.
really like consistent too, like the whole time. Like they didn't go overboard on like the meta too much, except maybe I'll say that with maybe I'll say they went too far in the meta as far as the thing I was complaining about with the plot of the whole thing of like
Yeah, I
the
agree with that.
Spider-Man and Gwen, we must be meta about it. That was like too far, but other than that, like I feel like they juggled everything like in the details well.
Yeah.
And what
But
else was I gonna say?
I
Yeah.
think just really quick because you brought that up. I think also like that. Oh, every Spider-Man has to have the same. I forgot what they called it, like
Yeah, they called it some dude,
the
it's the same thing as Loki, dude. It's the
yeah,
same reason I had a problem with Loki. It's the same they did the exact same thing in the Doctor Strange episode of What If. They
yeah,
arbitrarily just made something where like they're like Doctor Strange has a love in all his life and you must have this, and if you do not have this one thing, the universe crumbles. It's like that makes no sense. That's such a deterministic like way of seeing the universe that like is so like I don't know, lazy to the plot.
Well, I think some of that is a wink and a nod to the other Spider-Man movies in the universe in a negative way. I think
For
that it's
sure, yeah.
they had to shoehorn the
They had
Toby
to show
stuff.
Andrew
They had
Garfield.
to show
Yeah,
Andrew
yeah, yeah.
Garfield, and so that's a way to have their cake and eat it too. I found it really funny that Tom Holland or none of the MCU is like in any of that stuff.
But
So
that
it
was
makes
they already did we already did that in a way in No Way Home. That was basically what they did then. It's like I just don't think it was as smart as they thought it was.
I also like don't know how well it works to take an animated movie and put it in the real world per se. Like
Yeah, it was
this
weird.
isn't and this is
Yeah.
a cartoon. It's not our real world. So why other than for the cross
Yeah.
promotion factor, but don't do that. Like they've been able to create an IP outside of any of the other stuff that they've done for Spider-Man live action. You know, this movie made $120 million in 2023 over a 3-day period. Like that is a lot of money. I will say at the end of this movie, as soon as it ended, dude, the whole audience erupted in applause. So the audience is super
Mm.
eager for these movies. They love these movies. I saw so many people in my theater that were just so stoked. The theater was absolutely packed. I don't think I've been in a theater that packed in a really long time. And so, I mean, in that regard, it was awesome. It's awesome to go to a movie that everybody's super stoked for. I just, yeah, man, I would have cut it down. I wouldn't have had it be so long, and I wouldn't have tried to juggle two villains. I mean, I think, you know, you might have done the opposite, where you give more time to Miguel O'Hara because he kind of just disappears at a certain point too
To me, it would
from the
have worked
movie.
if you know, they made it they shifted at one point from the Spot being the villain to him being the villain, which is kind of basically what they did, but they also just left Spot out there and we
Yeah.
don't even know what he's doing and we don't get to see what he's doing or conclude anything. It's like they could have wrapped that up and then been like, "Oh shoot, Miguel is the actual villain." Anyway, but like I don't want to be too negative about it because like I said, like visually it was so cool, like so many great things about it. Like I thought it was really cool that they started with like Gwen's perspective and
Yeah.
like showed all that. Like that was super cool.
Oh, fun
Um
story. I actually missed the first 5 minutes of Into the Spider-Verse, even though I complained about
oh,
the previews. That was about the last movie I saw, which was Fast and Furious. But they actually it was Little Mermaid. Dude, Little Mermaid had more trailers than anything, which we'll save Little Mermaid
oh,
for another
that
time.
checks out.
But dude, I went to the theater and there was like a dead body in the road. And so like as soon as I rolled up, the cops rolled up and like shut the
What?
street down.
Wait,
And
for real?
yeah, there's I don't know what happened. I didn't get a good look at it,
What?
and I was looking, but they yeah, there was somebody laid out in the middle of the road and the cops formed like a triangle around the body to block. It was rough, dude. The only
Did you push through because you're like
I
I'm
said,
getting
"Hey,
up
I'm trying
late?
to see a Spider-Man movie here. He's already dead. He's not gonna mind if we scoot over a bit."
He's dead. It's too late.
Yeah. Let it go. But yeah, so sad. That was sad, but it did delay
That's
me in
crazy.
I got to dude, we were in Santa Ana too, so tracks. But we were yeah, so I missed like the first 5 minutes. I mean, I picked up what was going on and it was the connection to the Miguel O'Hara
Okay, yeah,
element.
because they do explain a lot in the beginning, which is like a little bit about his character, and then they kind of retell the whole Gwen thing, the whole Miles thing how there's like a spider from another universe they do explain a lot in the very beginning, which
dude.
is like kind of too much, but also like I don't know.
I just renewed my AMC A list, so I have 3 movies a week, dude. So I might just go see it again.
3 a week.
3, dude.
Wow.
That's my new thing. When the house goes to bed, dude, I'm gonna go see a
Dude, that's
movie.
crazy.
I'm seeing Transformers. I don't care. I don't care
I wouldn't
because I
I
can,
wouldn't
dude.
expect anything less from you, dude.
I know, dude. I gotta now that I have now that I have access to 3 movies a week that I don't have to pay for, and they're like Dolby and IMAX. I'm gonna shotgun blast those movies, dude. But I also want to go see like
They're gonna be
more
like,
like.
"This guy's actually seeing 3 a week."
Well, hey guys, back for a third viewing of Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Well, it's bad, but I'm here.
Beasts are gonna win this time. I know it. Yeah, fill me back up. But yeah. So anyway, I would probably give this movie like 7.5 out of 10. I would probably give the first one 9 out of 10. So this one still really good movie. You know, there's stuff in every not every movie, but there's stuff you can nitpick. I mean, some of this stuff is like, was a little obvious, but in terms of like experience, I had a really good time. And like I said, I saw it in an IMAX theater, which isn't true IMAX, but it's a big screen. And it was awesome, man. It was so rad. I saw Guardians at the Dolby Theater. That was unreal. It was so much fun. So I'm gonna have fun with this pass. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Nice.
What would you give it a grade? The tough
Yeah,
part.
I guess, yeah, I'm just bummed. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe like a 7.5. What did you give it, a 7?
7.5.
Oh,
I
yeah. I
didn't
mean, that sounds right, dude. Because like, I don't know. It's like I want to give it like an 8, but like, I don't know. I'm not sure it deserves it, which I'm bummed about.
I would have given it I would have put it on par with the first one if it wasn't just for some of the if it wasn't so much like a cliffhanger like because that takes me on the movie, right? Because then I'm like, it's like the filmmakers are like, we got
Yeah,
you. It's
exactly.
actually not done. And I'm
It's
just
like
like,
literally say to be continued. I'm like, what?
yeah, don't say,
Why
yeah,
would you do
dude.
that?
Don't just because Back to the Future did something once, and Back to the Future, like, say what you will about Back to the Future 3, that's a wholly different movie than the
1980,
first or second one.
1987 was a long time ago.
And
Also, it's
it was a flex. They were like, we shot 2 movies at once. This is what we're doing. Like,
yeah, it was like the first time that had ever happened,
yeah.
and that didn't turn out so well. So maybe not the best
Yeah.
example to use
I think
model after, but
space and time help, dude. I think that is the case with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. All that to say, I'm stoked to see the finale. I doubt it'll be the finale. I'm sure there will be all kinds of spin-offs, and I'm shocked they haven't done like a spin-off, which I'm sure will happen after this one,
it'll
like with
happen.
Gwen Stacy and, Ben. I did laugh out loud when they had the PS4 Spider-Man randomly in there
Oh
talking. I
yeah,
thought that
that's
was really
funny.
funny.
Yeah, dude, it was super funny. There was a lot of moments that I was laughing, and yeah, it was cool. But also,
Why
like, it wasn't too like it was really really quick, but like I will say, like it wasn't too ADD. Like when I
right.
first watched the Lego Movie, I was like, dude, whoa,
Yeah.
like relax for a second. But like this wasn't quite that. They did have key moments where they slowed it down when there was like emotion, which like I appreciated.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a great way of saying it. Some of the sequences were fast paced, but they definitely, gave you some space. But just in some of the themes and some of the plot, it just got a little chunky there. But cool, awesome, man. Well, I know you're stoked because this Friday, Fast and Furious X drops on Vudu, so that'll be in my Vudu come Friday.
Dude.
Lost is also on sale
Hell
for
yeah.
$60, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy that.
Is it it's
It's
in HD or
Yeah, it's not 4K,
okay.
dude. Which part of me is like,
It
hold
never
out
will be,
because
dude.
what? Do you don't think so? That's like the
I
constant
don't know.
rumor is that they're
Dude,
gonna do it.
dude, it's so crazy. Like Lost is like
Forgotten.
lost in the cultural zeitgeist, dude. Like
Yeah.
I was talking about that with my friends. Like no one really like people aren't going like new fans aren't going back to it because they're not hearing about it. And it's like I feel like it's such a travesty, dude.
Well, they also don't like so much of that now depends on what streaming platform you're on. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
where
Maybe
that
that's it too.
if that was on why isn't that on Disney Plus? I mean, they literally own that show. So maybe that's what I should do is just wait for it to drop on Disney Plus when they put it in 4K, but
But
we'll
I also
see.
just feel about the ending to Lost, just like for some reason, like threw so many people off, and then it's
Yeah.
just like got this like weird bad rap that like, which like anybody come talk to me about the ending of The Lost. If you think it was bad, let's
Dude,
have a
just give him your
conversation,
email
because
and email him the freaking manifesto, dude. The
I'm the
Lost
biggest
manifesto.
Lost. I'm the biggest Lost nerd
Dude,
around.
I will
But
say that
also,
it's time for a
yeah,
deep dive. It's time for a revisit on Lost. It's
I
been
kind of feel like that too, dude. I was
it
just saying that.
since I'm almost, dude.
You
We're
got to
chugging,
finish
we're
Buffy
chugging,
first, though,
dude.
dude.
We're chugging along so much
Dude,
so that like every night now is like we got to watch, and we're watching them in
dude,
order.
it's been. I just want to say it's been 3 years, and you guys are making kind of steady pace, but I'm a little disappointed.
We have had a kid in those last 3 years, so it makes it a little bit tougher.
Your
But it's
child
no
is 3.
excuse. It's no excuse. We should have been done by now, but we're
Well,
honestly savoring it, dude.
here's another excuse. Why isn't Buffy just in proper HD everywhere? Like at least HD. Why isn't it in 4K? Like
I have a
Gen
theory.
Z, Gen Z is loving Buffy. Everyone's
Well,
going back and watching it. Come on, dude.
well, why is Angel? You can get Angel in HD, but you can't get Buffy in HD. I have a
That makes
theory.
no sense, dude.
I think it's because the makeup and visual effects they used wouldn't translate well, which I say screw that, dude. You still watch Ray Harry. People still watch Ray Harryhausen movies from the
I think
50s.
I think it's because they ended up in different networks. So I think it's a rights issue.
Get over rights issues, man.
They switched in Angel season 3 was when they like actually split and one went to a different. I think it was Buffy. Buffy after season 5 went to a different network,
That's so weird.
which is like super weird. That's why there's like when you're watching it, like there'll be less crossover because it was like different networks.
It's interesting because
Anyway.
we were talking about like Angel is such Joss Whedon's like Batman. Like it's his
Yeah.
it's like all of his love for Batman goes into that show, and it's interesting. Dude, Cordelia is just the best.
Dude, Cordelia is so great in that show. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, she's
I'm
got
actually reading the Buffy season 8 comics right now.
Is it good?
I like am finally reading them. It's so good, dude.
Really?
It's
Did
like
Joss write
so
it?
good. Yeah. He executive produced the whole thing, and he had all of his same team of writers like also write it. So like Drew Goddard, he wrote like a bunch of issues of it. Like so like
Do you know that
they're awesome writers.
They have it on Vudu. It's a motion comic.
Oh yeah, I think the first like 5 issues or something like that
Oh,
are.
really?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, more motion comics. All right, well, this is the Spider-Verse, Buffy, Angel, and Lost show. But
slash
dude,
I don't
don't ever tell Dave that we can't cover topics, a multi-range of topics in like a small amount of time, because we can do it. We can definitely do it. But yeah, dude,
whatever
thanks
the
for
people, whatever the people want,
Yeah.
we're here.
Thanks. I'll look forward to your like when you guys go through all the Fast and Furious, so we can finally do the big Fast and Furious show.
Dude, that's like the one franchise that I like haven't watched,
I know,
dude.
I know. I really think that you'd
Maybe I'll
probably
get
hate it.
there.
So, but they're fun, dude. Like if you're sitting around just wanting to watch some fun. I mean, it was really fun to see Fast X in a. It's.
I should have watched it. Maybe I'll just jump in and watch Fast X. I'm pretty sure
100%. You don't need to watch Fast X
Yeah.
just for Jason Momoa, dude. I would love to get your perspective on the way he's playing that character. But all right, cool. We'll get out of here. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Vince. I'm sure it's still there somewhere.
I'm here.
God.
Hello, Vince.
Dave, glad you made it back from Europe. Glad they didn't convert you into European. You denied your roots.
They almost got me, but I'm back.
They're not that strong.
Maybe we'll talk about a little more. Diablo's officially out now, so we'll see if we can get Eli to play, and maybe we'll do another Diablo episode.
Dude, if nothing else, I'd like to hop on and watch you guys have wet dreams about it, dude. That's where I'm at. I'd love to.
You don't have to dream. You're gonna get wet while being awake playing.
Look, since you've been in Europe, since we're on the topic, I also beat Hogwarts, dude. So I'm finally through.
Oh, dude, how's the end?
Dude, the end is.
I didn't get through it, dude.
Well, I'm done with the main quest. I still have some side quests to do and my OWLs, but dude, the end is bonkers, dude. Have you got to the realm of the dead?
I don't think so.
Dude, I'm not going to say anything else. You got to keep playing that game. It's insane. Love that game.
Okay. Because I wasn't as into the main story, so that's good to hear that it gets good.
The main story, I was telling Vince, there's a storyline with a kid who basically becomes possessed, and like you have the option to either be like talk him out of it or be like, no, you're not doing, like just egg him on. It's so awesome.
Are there like repercussions to that though?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
there's like
Okay.
multiple different endings. I would
Okay.
suggest doing the side quests before you get to the end though, because it helps. It helps. I had to
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's good to know.
definitely do that.
Because that was kind of one of my negative things about it is it didn't feel like there were like really consequences to things. And like
Yeah.
I'm kind of biased because those are all my favorite games are like that. But
Dude, you
yeah, that's good to hear.
towards the end you get to make like choices for the future of the wizarding world. I'll say that. It's pretty nuts.
Ooh.
It's dope, dude. I love it. I really love that game. I'll
Well,
probably never play it again, but
whatever anarchy is, I'm gonna choose that.
oh, I did,
Obviously.
dude. I did. It's all anarchy. That is the perfect way, honestly. Believe it that. All right, talk to you guys later.
All right.
Hogwarts forever.
See ya, fam.
Fast X. You're part of the family now.
Fast X coming at you.
We're coming to space. The Rock's back because Black Adam
Fucking
failed.
The Rock came back. He
Dude, he
as
did.
big as he was 3 years ago.
Dude, he did come back. He swore he'd never be in another movie with Vin Diesel, and then one Black Adam later, he's back.
That's crazy, dude.
Vince, are we still on?